Yeah, that was the next one.
Great. Good. Okay. Let's go. Come on. Are we ready? Is everybody in here? Sorry? Well, I just took one. Maybe one is over there. Okay. Should we kick it off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. All right. Hi, guys and girls. How are you doing?
Let's just let the streaming know that we're beginning.
Yeah. Streaming, do you know we're beginning? They look like they know we're beginning. That is amazing. All right. So I'm sorry we're starting this thing after lunch. I hope you didn't eat too much. There is apparently 15 teams here today with us. So if we take into account that it's going to be about 10 minutes a team, we really want to be snappy. Otherwise, I think we're going to be here till Sunday. And I think some of you have flights on Saturday, right? You're probably, yeah. OK, so let's keep this sharp. So hi again. My name is Jaka. You've met me, I think, on at least some of the coaching sessions. Great to see you again. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's the difference between your thoughts and your progress and the day that we've been together and how it's going to look today. I hope you're full of energy because this is still supposed to be fun and energetic and exciting for all of us, much more than just being judged and seeing where all the gaps and everything else is. So my role today is going to be the MC. I've been a judge, I'm an MC, and now I'm being a judge again, and now I'm an MC again. It took like a couple of oscillations around here, thanks to Lino. But I'm going to do my best, essentially just to make things flowing quickly around. To start off first, just to remind you of the format. So we're doing 3-minute pitches. We're going to have somebody measuring time here. We're going to be fairly snappy on time on those 3 minutes. If it's in the middle of a sentence, I'll allow it, but otherwise, we're going to have to get sort of going very quickly. After the first pitch, we have 2 minutes for questions from the judges. It's a very short time, so please, let's be very snappy and let's be respectable to the people on stage so we can move on very quickly. And after that one, we have 4 minutes, essentially for advice. We have a bit of a buzzer here. If the judges will want to contribute to your idea, if they want to advise you on how to move forward, the buzzer is going to get turned on. If not, I'll allow very quickly, maybe if somebody from the audience would like to have a comment. But if not, that's perfectly fine, and we're just going to move on. As I said before, so we have 15. I'm going to call a break when I feel like the energy in the room is getting lower. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be. We're probably going to have at least 1 break, maybe 2. We'll see how we're going to go. I realize it's after lunch, so that's always a bit of a problem. All right, to get things going, I would like to introduce the 3 judges. Actually, I'd like them to introduce themselves, just so you know who we're going to be talking to today. And yeah, maybe Norman, start with you.
I'm Norman Ashley. I'm a fellow at the Royal Academy, chair of the LIF program. I was a researcher for 10 years, an applied researcher for 20, and then I got into science parks to make sure that the fruits of that research ended up locally. So that's my background.
Okay, my name is Kenneth Pakvolen. I'm currently the CFO of MariaDB, a software company in database industry. Well, my sort of, let's say, expertise for, maybe in this form is that I've raised quite a lot of funding, so roughly 100 million euros from various investors. So I'll have that angle.
My name is Henning von Spreckelsen. I'm an engineer by background and have worked in the chemical and packaging sector in the early part of my career, essentially helping divisions within my company make what they wanted to make rather than what they were making. I founded my own company many years ago, which then grew 170 patents in 30 countries later, factories in the US and in Europe, selling to Pepsi, Del Monte. That was sold, went through 2 funding rounds in the process. That was sold on an earn-out basis to a big US multinational. And since then, I've been investing in a range of startup companies, generally very active with the management teams, helping them not make the mistakes I've made in the past. So I've got a lot of experience with mistakes, so I give a lot of help.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think it's going to be an interesting and quite impressive lineup around here. Okay, enough about me. Now it's on to you. You ready?
Yeah.
Now that's how a person is ready. Brilliant. Carlos, please. Carlos Galindez with Simple Intelligent Agriculture.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Carlos Galindez, co-founder of SIA, Simple and Intelligent Agriculture. Okay, when after almost 10 years living outside of my country, I decided to go back to my country. So I was thinking, how could I transfer all the knowledge? How could I transfer all the stuff that I learned before outside? So I realized that agriculture is one of the most important part of my country, of Colombia. So in particular, sugarcane. Sugarcane is vital for my region. But, and I realized also, because I'm a physicist, I'm an optics man, so I realized that, that fertilizing is the engine of the crops. Okay, it's okay, but it could be wrong, it could be not useful, because if we put too much fertilizing on the crops, we can have some toxicity or contaminate our water fluids. So, but besides, production cost of sugarcane per acre, it's been more or less 23%. I'm talking about $9,000 per acre. So, but monitoring fertilization, it's really important. But how is it made? It's made by a crew, but you have to spend days, depending on how big is the crop. Or, okay, you can use satellite images, but if you are in Colombia, you can see a lot of clouds. So it's a low quality image for doing that. So my company is developing a database powered by artificial intelligence to monitor and improve fertilizing. How we could do that? We achieved that as a simple solution based in artificial intelligence, 10 times faster than a crew, 60% cheaper than satellite images, and we measure with a drone, and we can have the information anytime, anywhere, and any device. And eventually, it can increase the the earning of the producers up to 10%. So I go back to Colombia, and I led a scientific team at the Universidad del Valle, one of the most important universities in my country, and we obtained $40,000 of grants for the government, so we could achieve scientific publications and 2 successful pilots that bringing us 2,000 possible customers. Here that has at least 600 and 1,000 acres. And also, it allowed me to come here and to improve my skills, and we defined the revenue model, which is exactly monthly, a monthly subscription per 500 per acre. So we are looking here an investment or possible partners to include our service in their portfolios. Some knowledge, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being almost on time. Yep.
I mean, lots of people are doing remote sensing now. So have you links with the information that's coming out of remote sensing so that you can take the best in the world and apply it to your market?
This is the know-how we have, because we work together with agronomist people who are specialized in that. So we have a database just for each, for example, in this case, for sugarcane. But this could be improved, this could be escalated to chili pepper, to palm, to coffee, other crops that you don't need.
And so what are the sensors? What are you sensing?
What I'm sensing, I'm sensing in the spectra, in the light, visible, near, infrared, most of them.
So can you just go back to your costing? So you've got $500 there you're getting per acre.
Yep.
How does that compare to what the customer is making per acre? What is their revenue per acre?
The revenue per acre, it's more or less for customer. It's more or less between $4,000 to $5,000
per year.
Per year. Per acre.
Per acre per year.
per acre per year.
Okay, so if I become a customer and I have 1 acre, I will earn $5,000 in a year from that acre.
No, but if you have just 1 acre.
No, I'm just using as an example.
Okay.
So I'm a customer, I have 1 acre, just to make the maths easy, you can scale it up. So I earn $4,000 per acre per year. If I engage you, this was going to cost me $6,000 per year.
Yeah, I know.
But then I'm losing $2,000 a year.
Okay, it's
Why
not
would I
for
do it?
it's not for small farmers. It works okay for bigger farmers.
Okay,
because
so if
they
I have
need-
1 million acres
Yep.
and I earn 4,000 million per year, and I pay you 500 a month per acre, I will lose $2,000 million a year.
No, but you're okay. So
Okay.
I
I'm going to
misunderstood.
have to cut it off because the time for the questions is past. We do have, however, the advice part of the section, if anybody wants to contribute to that. Maybe the judges, someone from the audience. Yeah, Buzz?
No, I mean, it's more of a question. It was more of a question still. So I mean, I've seen that there's some other business. I mean, a lot of other businesses that are based on light. You know, either trying to optimize irrigation or trying to optimize fertilization. So how do you differentiate? What's special about your tech?
Okay. Because we are developing a database, exactly database for sugarcane for our crops. Okay, it's not just a business, it's a project for each farm or each crop. Okay, so we are specialized.
We're at the advice stage now.
Yeah.
My advice is to take a cost model, generate a cost model
Yep.
from the point of view of your customer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So generate, it doesn't matter what size the farm is, maybe make couple of different farms,
Okay.
work out how much they make per acre,
Mm-hmm.
per million acres, it doesn't matter,
Okay.
and then work out how much your service will cost and how much your service will improve their operations. So for example, if they are making $4,000 per year per acre and you improve their operations by 10%, then they will gain an extra $400 per year. Now, that sounds good until you say that your charges are $500 a month.
No, I know.
Do you see what I mean? So I think my advice is, I don't know the answer, my advice is for you to go back and work on that piece. Because at the moment, it doesn't seem as if the pricing matches the benefit for the customer. So if you can work that out, then I think the business will progress much faster and you'll have a lot of people coming to you if the cost investment equation is right for them. So you need to do that, and then I think you will find a much easier time selling the product from your business.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? No? Brilliant. Thank you. Maria can get prepared. Thank you very much, Carlos. And thanks for opening the ice, thanks for breaking the ice for us. Okay. Guys, just for the next one, when you hear that the advice part is going on, if you know you're next, get yourself ready so we can... Sorry? Okay, brilliant. Sweet. Bear with me. I still have a problem with ringing of my phone, so I might be just using my mouth signals to cut you off. It's going to be a bit of a humorous situation, but still. Brilliant. Next with us is Maria Alejandra Culman Forero with Agroriego. Is that? Yeah, is that where then? So helping farmers irrigate their crops smartly. Please, Maria.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria, and I want to present you my innovation. This is an IoT device that monitors soil condition to help farmers irrigate smartly. So today, because of water misuse and climate change, farmers are under great pressure. There is a limited water availability, and this is a global problem, and it's also a local problem. In Colombia, 64% of the irrigated land is ineffectively irrigated. That's why we created Agroriego, a technology that advises farmers when and where to irrigate so they can improve yields while optimizing water consumption. So we have these devices over the crop, collecting data about soil moisture. We upload this data to the cloud, combine this data with weather and climate data, and then after processing this data, the farmer can check the recommendations on a mobile application or can receive SMS messages. The smart irrigation market is a new, but it's a growing market. From 2017 to 2022, it will double and reach more than $700 million. These are my team colleagues. We have skills and experience in management and also in software and hardware development. We have been together working for more than 3 years. This is our progress. We have designed the technology, we have built prototypes, and we have run pilots. And now we are on the business development. Here at Leaf, I have improved my networking skills. I am more aware of what I should ask when conducting product validation exercises, and also what we lack to be a successful business. And what we plan is to get seed investment to conduct longer and bigger pilots. And then after demonstrating the impact of the technology, going after higher investment. This is our business model. It's a subscription model where the farmer will start paying initially a cost per hectare, and then it will be charged a monthly payment. So in a farm of 1 hectare, which is equivalent to 1.5 football fields, we will charge the farmer $900, and then for 3 devices, and then we will charge him monthly $60 for the whole 3 devices. So in a 24 months contract, we will get a revenue of $2,500.
Yeah, just leave it that slide. I think the judges will be able to clear it from here. Thank you very much, Maria, and we can go to the questions. Thank you.
I liked lots about it, but I didn't understand how you worked out that the market was 2 million. What the market of what is it? The market of
irrigation controllers, smart irrigation controllers.
But that means there are some out there.
Yes.
And you're going to replace them.
No, it is a market that is growing. Traditional farming irrigation systems doesn't count with this kind of sensors to automatize the irrigation task. So we are moving from the traditional to this kind of solutions.
What is the average size of a farm in Colombia?
Okay, so there is not an average size, but we are focusing on farmers with at least 20 hectares, which is a medium-sized farm in Colombia.
While you've been in the UK, have you seen whether there's any application of this technology in the UK?
Well, I contact some technology companies that work in similar technologies, but I have not researched in which kind of crops they are using that technology.
But it is being used here in the UK?
Yes, I found similar companies to ours.
And how does your pricing compare to those companies in the UK and in Colombia?
Okay, so most of our competitors use a business model where they sell the devices and the software, so it is up to the farmer to configure the solution, to get the connectivity. So one of our main difference is that we offer a service business model where the farmer doesn't own the devices, doesn't have to buy a license every year for the software. He only gets access to the mobile application to get the irrigation advice.
And how much money will the farmer make by using your software and your service?
Okay, so we have made some estimation for palm oil farmers and for cocoa farmers, and that those prices will work on them. But we are also interested in other crops, but finding the right pricing for them is going to be a little bit hard.
Can you be more specific on terms of what works for them? Because the cost is 2,500 over 24 months. How much will they make in order to repay that?
I think we've taken the time for the questions. I think that's something that you should consider for all of you, explaining it into the future. But we do have still a couple of minutes for the advice, if anybody would like to contribute with the advice part, the whole thing.
I'll just carry on with the thing. I think what you should do is you should, same as the previous group, you should look at this from the point of view of your client.
Yes.
And you need to work out, the key metric is payback time. How long will it take him to recoup the 2,500 that he's spending with you over 2 years? So he's spending a certain amount each month. You need to be able to demonstrate to the client that your system is better from a cash flow point of view than him buying it from your competitors. Because if he's better off cash flow wise than buying it from your competitors, it would be logical for him to go for your service. If, however, buying it from your competitors is the same or similar, you may find it very hard to persuade somebody to take your service. So I think you should do that as soon as you possibly can, because it will inform all of your development after that. It's pointless carrying on with the development, however good it is and however innovative, if you can't actually deliver something that's of benefit to the customer, cash-wise.
I think what we're hearing in general is that sort of notion of commercial interest for the customer and how to actually how to bring that across as you're presenting the product and your services as well. And I think this is the second time, so I think it's really, really good advice. Does anybody else want to contribute? Very quickly. But if not, Maria, thank you so very much. And let's prepare for the next one. Yes, please. By the way, just so we were supposed to have somebody keeping time, but I think it's going to be, is it going to be you now? Yeah. Okay, great. In which case, can we please just make sure that 30 seconds before the end of the pitch, they get at least a raise of hand. It doesn't have to be a sound, but just something to make them oriented. It's going to be easier to know when to slowly start to speed it up if necessary to get through the whole presentation, because otherwise we just have this sort of small bits and pieces, right? All right, thank you very much, Maria. The next one we have Alcides Montoya, right, who's going to present to us the planned factory agriculture unit for food production improvements. Good.
Good afternoon. Two professors, Alcides Montoya and Gonzalo Vargas, for 10 years ago starting thinking in how can help to the people to produce more food. And in these 10 years, we developed plant factory agricultural units. This is our laboratory in Medellin, Colombia. And the plant factory agricultural units consist in 3 units. One for aeroponics, other for aquaponics, and other for fungi. We are searching an UCAP partner for extend the plant factory agricultural model and commercialize this system. We have only one Earth with limited resources, more people, less water, less food. And the climate change has changed the world. And our product, developed for 10 years, is this type of agricultural units. This is for hydroponics units, produce tomato, lettuce, coriander, plants, herbs, using hydroponics, similar to plant factory. This is a fungi unit, produce a lot of fungi, and this is a unit for aquaponics. The system has a prototype and is developed in 22 towns in Antioquia. And the benefits of this model is that we have more productivity, tested, save water, tested, less expensive compared with other technologies, more crops per year, and really good for the condition of climate change in the future. Our plant factory units are oriented as a modular solutions, can grow up as a Lego, and our UCA progress was really brilliant. We have a proposition for Colombian farmers to sell in Colombia. We have a connection with Nottingham University. We created in this week a business model, B2B, and currently we are working in patents and copyrights. Call to action, research and validation in UK institution, in this moment Nottingham University, search for UK agri-tech partners and investors for grow up around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alcides. Are you looking for any specific size of investment, just quickly?
Sorry?
Any specific size of investment? Because it just said
No.
in
this moment, our first interest is to develop a prototype in UK to extend the system to UK and Europe. Yeah?
Thank you. Judges, questions, please.
Which plants are you focusing on?
We are focusing in plants that are really expensive locally. For example, if London has tomatoes expensive, or coriander, or rugula, or other plants, we can produce this type of plants in our units. We produce locally, and you establish the market locally. Yeah?
Oh, okay, so you're not growing in Colombia, you're...
No, the idea is to grow in the plants that can be used in the market, for example, in London or UK, and to test this in Nottingham University to do can be extended to other countries in Europe. Remember that Colombia is in tropical conditions, and okay.
Two questions. Sort of, what is the business model? So, are you planning to license the technology, or actually build these all over the world, or?
It's a B2B model. We can sell the units, we can sell the systems, and we can support the system. And the small and medium farmers can produce or fungi, or fish, or plants in your units. So don't need to put, for example, a plant factory. A plant factory is a system, expensive system, and so on. And don't use the land. It's in the medium. Yeah, it's for small farmers and medium farmers.
Can you put this into cities?
Yeah. Maybe to use in cities, and using old buildings and in other structures, but we need to test the prototypes in these cities.
Okay, one more question, if you have any.
So how does it differentiate now from other sort of growing systems for growing that are there? So how does?
The difference, you can differentiate, but in land you need a lot of pesticides and a lot of fertilizers.
Yeah, but I meant sort of versus other greenhouse solutions. I mean, fungi are grown in the UK as well.
UK in this moment there are used two models: the land in the triangle, and use in this moment plant factories. UK has 2 plant factories, but it's really expensive to maintain and to support this type of business. This business can be more cheaper.
You can stop with the question, but I think there is some headway there into actually giving a bit of advice in terms of how to think about these types of, because I think we're seeing a theme around here a little bit about which parts of the pitches are stronger and which parts are weaker, and maybe just to give a bit of advice on that one would make sense.
Well, for me at least, it would be helpful to have more clarity. If, for instance, if you're planning to actually build these and ship them in Colombia and ship them around the world and set them up around the world, etc., we're talking about huge investments that are required.
Yeah.
We're talking about hundreds of millions probably, or at least millions. Or if it's so that you're more looking for sort of more a franchising or licensing model,
maybe
trying to understand what is the aim there, and it didn't really come through, from the presentation how you're going to build a business.
Okay.
And what the business model is behind it.
We start with IP patent and copyright, and next, to validate the prototype, I think that is a good idea to search about licensing or other possibilities in the business model.
I think you're about to do some testing in the UK.
Yeah.
My recommendation is don't do the testing. Wait 1 week, and during that week, do the financial analysis as to, on the back of a piece of paper, you will be able to do the financial analysis as to see whether it is worth doing the testing.
Perfect.
You will need to establish some financial goals for the testing, because you will come up with an answer, and it will be a technical answer. Yes, it works. No, it doesn't work. But you need to, before you start, have a hypothesis or a cost per carrot or a cost per tomato that you need to achieve. Because at the moment, in the UK and in every country in the world, there is a cost for the current farming system to deliver a fruit or a piece of vegetable. So in order for taxpayers' money in Colombia or investors' money somewhere else to be spent in this, you need to demonstrate ahead of time that it's going to be better, or at least a better product for the same price. And what I think, potentially, your work has enormous positive outcome, but it could also be a complete waste of time. Monumental waste of time, and you have the ability to do the financials first before you go down that route, because otherwise you're wasting your life, because it's pointless, because you can already tell by doing the financials whether you will go. And if you can't achieve your goals with the financials, the other thing the financials will do is it will tell you where to target your effort if you are going to continue on the project. It may become obvious very quickly that the most expensive part of your project is part X or Y, and you can maybe cut that out or do something cheaper in order to make it successful. So don't start the project on the testing until you've done the financials first.
Thanks for the advice. Really good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alcides.
I'll just jump in very quickly to the people on the live streaming, because it seems Colombians are the more interesting group compared to the Mexicans. Last I checked, there were 33 people from the alumni community watching the live stream. So I just wanted to address them quickly. Maria Rodan, thank you for the lovely gift and note. It's amazing. Love you too. And there's Dr. Zakaria, who's been one of the most passionate people from the Live group. He just managed to get his product in 4 hospitals, and he's been sending us photos on how the doctors are using that. I think there's a chat feature on the live stream in YouTube, which I'll figure out in a bit, but if you want to contribute, ask questions, something like that, I might be able to compile something and play it at the end. So please be active there. Thanks.
Can they see us, by the way? Can they see us?
They can see us and they can hear us.
Can we do a group dance?
maybe during the break.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lino. Okay, Juan David. Yes, please. The podium is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan David Lopez. I'm a biotechnologist from Colombia. And I want to start stating out that I like to eat healthy and be fit, and I like to take care of myself. So I'm quite concerned about the use of chemical pesticides in crops, because they're dangerous. They are toxic, and they may cause cancer to humans. However, we still need to control pests in crops. So one alternative is the biopesticides, because these compounds are more friendly with the environment, still controlling the plagues, and degrade easily. However, the production of biopesticides is dependent on plant materials such as leaves and seeds. So we, as a group of chemical and biological engineers in Colombia, developed a natural product from plant called neem, but we are not using the leaves or seeds. We have the cells in vitro. This product repels insects, is environmentally friendly, is non-toxic, and can be used to protect different crops against plagues. For example, we have tested our product in maize crop, and we could protect the crop, the 95% of the crop, against the most invasive plague of maize. We want to enter to the biopesticide market, which is really interesting because it's increasing every year. It's going to reach $4.5 billion in the next 5 years. And although there are other products in the market, which are from plants, this production depend on the tree and the leaves. So they are dependent on the environmental conditions such as humidity, temperature, soil. However, our product, as may be produced in a lab, is independent on all these conditions and can be scalable. Also, there is a plus that our product smells good, which is really different with the other. So we have been focusing too much in the research part, in the engineering part, that we have a patent, we have a mass production factory designed. However, coming here to London, I realized that we were missing a really important part. We were missing the customer, the business model, the market side. We were not thinking in this. So here in London, I developed a first business plan. I changed my mind, and I decided to take leading role for my team in order to take the business side of my team. I started talking with some potential customers because I wanted to understand how my product, my value proposition is going to solve their problems and what are their concerns. This is something we were not thinking about. So I know that the next steps we have is to look for spin out from the university, because in this moment the university owns the patent, negotiate this patent with the university and start commercializing the product. However, I don't have any experience on that. My team neither has it. So I would like to have some advice on how can I take this project on a spin-off from the university to the commercial market. If you can reach me out with this, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you. That is very nice and very sharp. Judges? Yeah.
I'm sort of preempting him. So how, when you produce this now, it's sort of in mass production environment, I understand that you already have one production facility, but probably small. But how will the price, if you produce it in mass, how will it compare against the product which is based on the leaves, made of the leaves?
Actually we did a projection, an economic projection on how, if we build a plant, a mass production plant, how was going to be the price. And the price of these kind of products are from, let's say, $900 to $300 per liter. And our product could be sold in that scenario around 100. So it's in the range.
Can I just be clear? Sorry.
No.
I don't know neem it, but neem's a plant. The comparison you had was, is that just harvested neem, the leaves? Are your cells replicating in the
laboratory?
soup? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need no more.
No more plants. We can replicate the cells. We have established the culture, the plant culture, so we don't need more plants.
So the cost per the $100 that you were talking about, is that the sales price or the profit?
No, it's that the sale price.
Is it the cost?
There's an estimation of the sale price, like the minimum sale price to make this scenario, this plant factory, profitable.
Okay, and at $100, that's the sales price. What is the manufacturing cost, do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have the information yet.
So it could be more than $100?
The manufacturing cost from my plant?
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, no. We estimated based on the manufacturing cost and all the fixed and variable cost in the plant. I don't have the number in my mind at this moment, but we did have the manufacturing cost in account.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions. Anybody wants to contribute?
Yeah, I recommend that you work out three things. The first is your manufacturing cost from your pilot plant, which is today, and do that, run the plant for a day or a week, and then calculate everything. You then get your cost per liter. Then do the same thing again for a new plant that is 10 times, 100 times the size, and compare the two costs. And in making that comparison, you will end up figuring out that there are some items of cost that are a lot that you can save, and you can maybe redesign your process.
Yeah.
When you do that, you will potentially have the opportunity for another patent.
Okay.
Because you will have made that step. Okay? Then, once you have that, you can then work out how many liters you can sell at the price that you mentioned, and then you can work out how much money you would need to raise from external investors. But also think about external investors and banks, because if you have an asset like a manufacturing plant, you can get some of the money from a bank, but only after you've proved that you can sell it.
Okay.
So those are all steps that you should go through. On the patenting side, the first patent you have, is it just for Colombia, or have you done it through a patent
just
corporation?
for Colombia.
Okay, so that patent will be no use in the US.
No.
Okay, so again, I think if you go through the steps, see if you can do something else that's new to get the manufacturing step, and then when you file that patent, make sure you go within 18 months onto the Patent Cooperation Treaty, because that gives you an umbrella into patents in all the countries in the world. You don't have to pick them all, but it allows you a process to then pick them at a later point in time. So you have the cost of getting the patent in Colombia to start with, and then you piggyback on that cost to replicate your patent in other countries. You can do the EU in one go. You can obviously do North for now. Well, whatever's in the EU, you can do in one go. And you know, other places like China, for example, they are quite keen to have patents. The patent process is not onerous. Enforcing them is a different story, but it's not an onerous process, and potentially you could get large amounts of investment from large agricultural areas.
Okay, great.
Do you know if Colombia's a signatory to the PCT?
I don't actually. It may
So I
not
guess,
be.
I mean,
I hope I'm giving you the right advice.
Yeah, is Colombia a signatory to the PCT? Do we know? Okay. So that's the right route. I mean, the only thing I was going to talk about in the patents is really, it depends what you've patented. I'm sort of surprised if you get the basic, because if the plant is known to kill insects, then you must have something very specific in your process, in which case, I agree. But if you've patented the total process, then I'm surprised that somebody hasn't claimed, that it's obvious that if you have a neem cell, that the neem cell will do the same job as a neem leaf.
No, but the biological process, the bio process is something different. Like, how can we make that the cells produce these kind of compounds? That's different.
You've patented the manufacturing route, which is the innovative, but not the fact that it's Have you looked at whether the manufacturing route you've chosen can make other things other than neem?
It could be used for other kind of cell cultures. However, we are working now with neem. We have also we are looking for native trees, native Colombian trees, and now we have some work with coke and borojo, which is a native tree in Colombia. But it could be used for different trees. Culture.
My advice would be to get a very aggressive American lawyer on your team to look at the patent protection side, because potentially what you have is very, very powerful. Yes. But I think you've got to get through this commercialization step to prove that which is not going to take you long. And then what you've got to do is you've got to get partners in there who will help you protect what you have.
Great.
I think with that, we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next one, David Flores with Pure Stream. Pure? Very pure?
True, very totally pure. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming. I'm David. I have a PhD in power electronics, and well, I love to be in outdoors. Traveling around Colombia is exciting. It's a very beautiful country. Because of that, it's for me a shame to have 1,200 children dead because of bad quality drinking water in Colombia. every year. We have developed a great solution and very powerful. It is based on a special ultraviolet light bulb combined with a smart controller. This solution has been customized for domestic use and also for small installations. There is a huge market for this device. Only around big cities in Colombia, there are around 40,000 homes with bad quality drinking water. Also, we have rural schools that must be served. As a matter of fact, in the month of June, government announced an investment of $2 million to serve 300 rural schools with small water treatment plants. With our development team, that includes microbiologists, electrical engineers, me as a founder and designer of the product, and the bulb manufacturer, who is our partner. We have done these three main achievements. We have developed the treatment system. We have invested around $20,000 in laboratory tests. And we have made an approach to the communities to have their feedback about our proposal. In the first stage, we will develop a 10 units pilot. This will be sold to the hometowns around big cities. Then we will develop a 100 units pilot, also selling to rural communities, but with a pay-as-you-use model. And in parallel, we will contact government to go through a distribution to the schools all around the country. The resources we need to do this pilot is $80,000 to run a 6-month production of these 10 units, evaluation to gather data, and also we need to develop a process to reduce the bulb cost, which is the main risk of our project at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Given that you still have 15 seconds left, does this program in the UK help you in any way?
Sure. I think the plan and business model was the grateful achievement of this program. Mm-hmm. We were navigating around several markets, figuring out how we can move this from laboratory to the people.
Okay.
This was
so developing the business model.
2 weeks analysis, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Judges, please, the questions.
Can you say something about the work you did to choose this particular method for purifying the water? I mean, how much did you study other techniques, the titanium dioxide or some of the other processes that can be used?
That's because we have the access to these type of bulbs, which are not like an exclusive use of this type of bulbs for this application. So nobody else in the world is using these type of bulbs for water treatment. And they have many technical advantages compared with the competition.
Well, my point is that we've got a number of, in the program, in our wider programs, we've got a number of water purification projects, so it would be worth just comparing to make sure that you have the cost effectiveness, the best cost effectiveness, not just the fact that you have these particular
effective from the point of view of the cost?
No, well, that's what I'm asking. Have you checked that not just that you have the bulbs, but also that they are the best way of doing it overall?
Yes, included in this pilot is the evaluation from a third party. We made a $20,000 investment in laboratory tests with Giardia, E. coli, Clostridium to demonstrate effectiveness. Now it must be evaluated by another institution.
So I guess the question was, how is the technology better to other technologies that are out there, right? I think that's how
ultraviolet light cannot be used in domestic uses, only for one home, but because commercial UV lamps cannot be turned off. They must be turned on all the time. It's for industrial use. And we have a UV bulb that can be turned on, turned off immediately. So you can use it at point of use.
So, have you investigated other markets that this bulb could be used in other than water treatment?
Sure, sure.
What?
Air decontamination,
Uh-huh.
package the treatment, in the food industry, in hospitals also, to decontaminate the surfaces of the chirurgy rooms.
Okay. And how does the cost compare of, if you use your treatment and you get a liter of water, and I go to the shop and buy a liter of mineral water?
30%.
50% cheaper?
30% of the bottled water liter cost,
Okay.
including power consumption and the lifetime of the lamp, of the bulb.
How much does a unit cost?
We need to go to 1,000 units to achieve $140 production cost to sell at $300, which is the main competition at this moment in Colombia. People is buying like a device that costs around between $200 and $300. 1,000 units.
And how many liters will it do before it breaks?
How many liters?
Yeah, if I run it for a year,
Yes.
how many liters will go through before it
It
runs?
depends on the power, but around 70,000
70,000 liters.
liters.
Well, that implies that the cost of making water safe using this method is far cheaper than the figure you gave us earlier. You said it was 30% cheaper. If you can make 70,000 liters with this,
Yes.
then it's 99% cheaper than buying a bottle of mineral water.
If you include the cost of the electricity and the replacement price of the bulb, we have this amount.
I think just for one cycle, it was sort of, I think the numbers are probably best to be rechecked, just in case.
Yeah.
I would check
And
the
that's the
numbers
point,
again.
yeah.
It sounds good, but I mean, I would check the numbers again. They may
It's because
Yeah.
the power consumption. You have to
Okay.
pay for the electricity, so that's what.
And how do you range? I mean, in rural areas, how do you range then with the power? I mean, how? I was just thinking. So would it need to be shops that then
There is a lot of
resell the water, or how? What is the?
the electrical network Colombia is very well developed, but the water distribution is very bad.
Okay.
So, and solar also. There is we have a lot of solar. So
Can you connect this to
Yeah.
can you connect this to a solar panel so that then the
Sure.
electricity is free?
sure, it's only 100 watts per unit.
Okay, so if you did that, then the cost would come down dramatically.
Well, it's an analysis that must be done because the cost of servicing the solar system in the place and also all.
I think
But it can.
that was an advice,
Yes,
not
yeah.
really
Okay,
a question.
Yeah,
to be
yes,
honest.
I
It's
can
advice.
add that
Try to
in
look at
this.
sustainable sources
okay.
because you guys are
Yes.
always dealing with that space, right?
Yeah.
I'll take one more advice if you have one. No? Brilliant. In that case, David, thank you very much. Brilliant. Okay. And wow, we have an onslaught of David, so to speak, right? And I will not make any more jokes, and because you never joke with the man with the mask. Brilliant. David Ramos, biofilter to reduce greenhouse gases for buses and trucks.
Good afternoon. My name is David. I am a chemical engineer working in a biotechnology manufacturing facility in Colombia. You know, masks are becoming a very popular wearing accessory in polluted and big cities. Not only that, but greenhouses from transportation rank second. UK is committed to reduce them. Colombia has a target to reduce by 20% before 2030, but the problem is getting worse. Just 3 weeks ago, Volvo won a public bid, and 700 new diesel buses are coming into the streets of Bogota to add to the already existing 95,000. So something needs to be done. This is our solution. We have developed a process and a filter where we cool down the gases, we bubble them into a biofilter filled with duckweeds, so as they grow in number, they capture CO2. This is how it looks like in a very small vehicle we have already tested. And we're going to make sure we have CO2 sensor so we can tell you how much carbon is being captured. So we know that corporates with sustainable goals are looking to reduce their carbon footprint. For some of them, it's hard to achieve unless they heavily invest changing the technology, let's say buying electric cars. So once they cannot reduce anymore, they need to find and offset their carbon emissions somewhere with projects. There is where we think we can be very competitive and we can project a green propaganda for them. Because projects like tree planting are outside urban areas, but we need to take the solutions into the cities so citizens can benefit from them. That's why we need to jump into making the bigger filters and run prototypes. But I know that's not a growing market, so we can adapt our technology to restaurants and chimney buildings because it's very, very similar. So here at Leaf, I have learned the importance of testing my market hypothesis and prototype as soon as I can. That's why I'm jumping into the bigger filters. Also, after listening to the advice of some companies in the carbon market, I have understood that my customers are not bus manufacturers or public transportation companies because they are really hard to reach and hard to convince. So I'm focusing now on companies that are looking to reduce their carbon footprint. So I really need professional advice so I can run a spin-off. I also need grants and a UK partner so I can work 100% of my time developing this kind of filter. So don't mask the problem. Join me for the solution.
I liked your something has to be done thing. Well, judges, what do you think? What he has to answer for?
But one question, does this work as well for sort of small particulate matter, or is it for carbon dioxide? Because of course carbon dioxide is not noxious, so you know, you don't. The problem in city is more the quality of air rather than the amount of carbon dioxide in the air. That's my point. So does this address it as well?
Okay, very good question. And well, I'm targeting to capture CO2. I'm going to measure how much I'm going to capture. But after we have run our tests, we have identified that we are also going to capture particles. So yes, I'm going to tell you like how much carbon you have been capturing, but dirty particles are being trapped here. So that's something that we found after running the tests.
Okay. So it's like a collateral that you also capture the hard particles by accident almost.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's the key learning here. The most you test your prototypes, you get more information, and that's why I'm not working anymore in this horizontal device, because I need to go for the vertical, since most of the buses have that like configuration.
And is this just a big filter?
No, this part goes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So here where the CO2 bubbles and the duckweeds are inside, and they eat it, and that's their carbon source. You also need to add some nutrients. But yes, this is like something larger, just to show you that we need clear pipes, because they also need light to grow.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, what was the percentage of carbon dioxide emissions then that it captures?
Yes, that's something I need to measure, so I cannot tell you right now. But that's why we need to like run tests with bigger vehicles, so we can have CO2 per gallon consumed. That will be like a metric we need to find out.
Yeah.
Do you know what the CO2 content on the exhaust gas of a car or a truck is?
Yes, it's about 4%, 8%, because you know, for combustion you also need oxygen. So exhaust gases is a mixture of oxygen, CO2, and some other gases, but it's for about 4%. We have measured that.
And the temperature of the gases, they don't kill the duckweed?
Exactly. That's part of our invention. We first first thing we do is we cool down the gases. But you know, I like your question because we were very concerned about that, but then we were able to cool it down very easily, and then we end up with some other problems. So, but yeah, we're using fins to cool them down. So yeah, there's a lot to do here. We can explore different materials, but yeah.
So if the truck stops and there's no air through the fins, then the cooling won't work.
Yeah, it still works because actually, yeah, it's true that when the car moves, the convection is higher, but still you get exchange of temperature.
But if you're in a city and you've got lots of tall buildings, there's very little airflow sometimes. So you get into a traffic jam, the car stops, and then the cooling won't occur. So the gas that's coming through will go into your duckweed very hot. Will it kill the duckweed then?
I think you will still cool the gases a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, because it's like we are using metals.
The question is, have you tested something like this?
Yeah.
Have you actually like stopped the car and seen how long it can be stopped at a specific?
Not yet, but that's what I think this is part of the innovation, because duckweed has a very heat-resistant wall. That's why I'm not using algae or microorganisms. So that's a key thing why we have selected the duckweed.
I must say, I would say that you've got to do your test first, because even the nitrous oxides which are coming out that exhaust will do damage to the plant, you would think. I mean, this is almost too good to be true. That's what's bothering me. So without your testing,
yeah, I think the questions are really to explain the effects and the benefits, and within the real mixture of sort of gases that you have in that situation, what can you actually realistically expect?
Yeah, that's what I need connections, so I can spend 100% of my time, because I am the environmental engineering in my company. This is a side project, so I really need time.
I mean, I think the point is your 4% is right. It's 4% coming out the tailpipe because a lot of nitrogen's gone through.
Nitrogen, right?
But 4% is not the fraction of the problem. You see what I mean? Because that's like, well, it's much higher percentage. Maybe a quarter of the power is being generated by creating carbon. So it's hard to see how a few plant leaves can suck out all the carbon produced in the energy of the boss.
Yeah. Something to think about, right, for the future. Thank you very much, David. Thank you. Okay, we got a break from David's. No. Well, actually, so let me give you do you have energy for 2 more? Yeah? Good. You're sort of really not convinced, do you?
We do.
1. Okay, we're negotiating here a little bit. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's put it on Daniel to just sort of, bring up a little bit of energy back into the room. Daniel, able to do that?
Yes, of course.
There we go. That's brilliant. I think after you, we can take 3 more, dude. I'm quite sure. Okay, brilliant. So we have Daniel Ramirez with Voltex, which is electrically conductive paint.
Yeah.
Paint?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good color, by the way.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Daniel Ramirez. I'm a PhD candidate, and I am the CEO and co-founder of the company Innovative Solutions. So my product is a conductive paint. It basically is used for to print electrical circuits. So you use my paint, just like you get some, you paint. Then it has the same properties as a copper wire. It means that you can use a battery, for example, like this, and then you can transport electricity to power this light. The main thing here is that before I came to live, I have like a product with many different applications, and I didn't know what to do because I had a solution looking for a problem. The thing is that over the past 2 years when I started my company, I tried to do some experiments related to the market testing. So I started by selling my product into for the reparation of electronic components. So I just sold 800 units by that time during these over 2 years. I also started to work in a harder field, which is like to paint cable for electrical applications. So that was the main project that I brought here. But I was also working on education, on how to use this product for education. So with all these things, I realized after the Leaf mentoring that I should focus just on one market, and I decided to go for education first, and later I might come back to this sector. why did I do that? Because there is market viability in this sector. I already have sales, and this is something that I like to do. I like to work with kids. So this is what the information that I got for the education sector. So I run like 4 workshops with kids, and I also gave like over 150 short practices at a local fair with kids doing things like this. So with that information, I got to know that kids, not only kids, but also adults, like this product. And then there was interest of the education companies. That's why I already have 2 companies. I'm selling my product to them. They teach children, and they get money from school, government and parents. So they buy my product because this is a new teaching approach. Kids like to use the product. They can teach younger kids because electronic, you need to use solders, so it's kind of dangerous. My product is not toxic, and it's compatible with very low-cost materials like cardboards and wood. That's how I can guarantee and I can access education to rural areas as well. So the market in Colombia, if I partner with 40 of these education companies, I can get sales around $300,000. I hope that I can grow in the second year by getting into the rest of the Latin American market. And that's why I'm asking for a loan of $20,000 to promote the product and get the partners that I need. I'm also asking for contacts and partners to open new markets and mentoring strategies to achieve the target sales. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you. That was good energy, by the way. Thank you. I think everybody appreciates it.
Yeah, just one first question. So are you planning to sell the paint or a learning solution?
That's like, the paint is a tool that education companies use so they can teach whatever they want. They have their own workshops. For example, they can start making workshops with things like this. So I'll sell the product to them as this is a tool for them.
I guess the question is, what is the product, right, in that particular case, right?
Yes, this.
Okay.
And how much current can it carry? So if I paint this table, and I put some voltage on one side of it, can it carry 1 amp or can it carry 10 amps?
Yeah, it depends on the composition. So I've been developing conductive paint. This is, for example, 1 segment. This has not a very high conductivity because we don't need it, because this is very low power, very low current. But I can go up to over 1 ampere, and it depends on the thickness of the paint, on the width of the line that I draw. So it depends, but yeah, I can go up to that. And that's why I came here trying to get into the electrical market, but I decided to focus just on for education. But I can.
When I used to be in a lab many years ago, the conductive paint was silver-based.
Yep.
Very expensive because of the silver-based. So you found a way around that.
Yeah, actually I'm using for this is carbon-based. I have nickel-based. I have like many different compositions. So yeah.
And is it a paint so it goes on with a brush, or is it material that you can screen print?
Yes, it is. You can use the screen printing as well. Yeah.
Okay. And the third thing was you tested for toxicity, but kids tend to bite things and put them in their mouths.
Yeah, exactly. So for the case of kids, so I'm selling this as a paint. It has almost the same composition as the one that kids come and buy to draw things and to paint things. In my country, there is the INVIMA, like the regulatory department for this kind of things, and we don't need that because the intention is not, this is not going into contact directly. I mean, the intention for this is just to use this kind of things and to draw things or paint things. So yeah, there's no a big issue in terms of regulation.
But if I go back to Henning's question, I guess I'm surprised that you're selling the paint and not the learning solution, not electricity for 5-year-olds or something. If you know what I mean?
Electricity for what?
Sorry, they're playing with circuits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because,
it goes back to the question. Let's move into the advice thing a little bit as well here, right?
Well,
something like this.
I was surprised at the
Yeah.
answer to Henning's question.
Yeah, because the main competitor, I mean, it's one, and it's here, and this is what they do. They sell things like this. But in my country, I need to get those companies, those education companies, the ability to get into rural areas so they can work with things like this, so they can find their own materials, their own wood or cardboards and things like that. So
you're trying to keep them resourceful in a way? I mean, to basically allow them to create their own sort of very much lower cost solutions and then just use the paid to achieve that.
Exactly. And that's what
that's something that you could do potentially as well,
yes.
right, to be honest.
Yes.
The point is about the content, I would assume, right,
yes,
here,
content,
I think, right?
it's
Educational content is something that others have to invent for you, and you know your paint probably the best of everybody else,
exactly.
right?
So there's one competitor in the UK.
Yeah.
And nobody does this in Colombia.
No.
And have you bought all of the products that the UK competitor sells?
I was planning to do it after this presentation.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it sounds like you want to copy everything that they have, take it all back to Colombia, and then adjust it for whatever you think. Just copy them, because they're not in Colombia. Nobody else is in Colombia. It's just you.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got the market to yourself.
I might do that, but these education companies, they want to do. I mean, they don't want me to sell to all of them the same product. So they want to develop their own workshops. And how do they do that? By using kids' creativity. So I just sell this as a tool, and they develop their own workshops.
But would it be possible for you to sort of create some models, and then you could sell them globally on Amazon?
Yes.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. I'm also planning to sell these things like this as a kit.
Yeah.
David,
a business which is a couple of 100,000 rather than tens of hundreds of millions.
Guys, we just have one voice from the audience, and it's so rare that I want to take it, actually.
I just wanted to tell that my university, my laboratory, bought his ink for one of our experiments some months ago, and we didn't know that was made in Colombia. So we found this product with a good quality price and record, and we said, it's so cheap.
Yeah, when we met here, he realized, but this is not the carbon base, this is but Voltex, that's the same brand.
Very good.
When you sell a bottle like that, you get a certain price. Let's say it's $5 or $10 for the bottle. Yeah. But if you sell that painted onto something else, you maybe get $10 or $20 for the thing that's painted on. So I think you can end up with a lot of products where you hold the key to the products, and then you can export from Colombia all over the world.
Exactly.
Probably thinking not how to be a paint company, right? But actually how to
product
be an educational product company that uses paint to achieve something that ones don't. I think, Daniel, you've made us energy. I'm going to have to cut it, I think, for now, but that was brilliant. Thank you. One more. I'm sorry, but because everything's ready, Juan is ready over there. Am I right? I am right. Juan Manuel, please. Sorry, I know I was pulling your leg a little bit. I knew it even before, but I just wanted to make you feel happy. Pop-up housing.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Juan Manuel Montes, and our invention is a pop-up housing. It's another form to construct cans and temporary installations. Why is important this technology? Because in this moment in the war, we had 25 million of refugees. In Colombia, we had the similar situation with the internal conflict and the political situation with Venezuela. Our solution is a system that integrates 3 systems operating as one. Mechanical system, easy and fast installation, low cost, electrical system, clean energy, and tank system, depend on the area to cover. In this moment, we don't have companies, national companies, with patent in this kind of technology in Colombia. This is our research team. We are professors, researchers, inventors at Universidad de Medellín. Chemical engineer, civil engineer, mechanical engineer. We had experience in research in topics, innovation management, construction, numerical methods. This is our market. The refugees are in this point, but our business model is B2B because we are looking networking opportunities for a strategic alliance to develop the market with partners in UK. This is line time, important. Go a prototype in 2017, 2 national patents this year. Our challenge, we need money, $10,000 to finish the functional prototype and commercialization of technology. Our progress, learning process in licensing, business model, different opportunities. And in this moment, we had contact with Arut company with the support of Shane Mahat of the Rhine. Our vision, develop new technologies and licensing our current technology. Our ask, we need $60,000. The international patent and the functional prototype and other contacts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. By the way, is this standing anywhere already? Do you have a prototype or something like that?
At this moment, we had only the Go prototype.
One prototype?
Yeah, need money to finish functional prototype.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it was just my curiosity.
Okay.
Please.
I'm just good. Can I ask about the logic there? You had a slide that mentioned that nobody had a patent in Colombia with this type of device, but did you mean that nobody had patented a temporary rainproof structure in Colombia? Right.
The question is, so when you say this kind of technology, right? When you searched for a patent, what did you search for?
Okay.
Is that correct?
My point is that if there's no patent taken out in Colombia and you have a problem of 1 million refugees, you can solve that with anybody's patent, and they can't stop you. Right? You can make it and use it. Good point, yeah. You don't have to invent a new thing to solve a local problem if nobody took out the patent.
Okay.
What's the difference in a cost of a tent of the same size?
In this moment, we had the average cost $200
$43 per square meter.
Square meter, yeah.
But
is the average cost in this moment.
But I can buy a tent in the shop down the road for less than that.
There are Chinese products in $100 a square meter, but don't have solar system.
Okay. So the cost is in the power.
Yeah, and in the international market, we had identified 2 companies in USA, Pavilion, in Switzerland, Tengso, with solar tanks, with patents in this sector.
So the refugees that are going to use this, they tend to travel on roads, and they end up in universities or schools and on car parks. Presumably those car parks will have power nearby. So I'm really questioning the need for something like this versus a big tent with a power cable.
Yeah. Let's rephrase that, right? So when you started off with the story with a million potential refugees, the question is there like a thought process that brought you from seeing that into creating this specific solution with the solar and with everything sort of connected, right?
In this moment in our country, we had a big problem with the Venezuelan people.
Sorry, with that?
Many people of Venezuela are sleeping in the parks.
Yeah.
And the forecasting is 4 million in the next years with the situation.
Okay.
We need one option, one solution. And in the value chain, it's very important this point because this is the link.
But if you go, I'm going to give you a hard time now, okay? So if you go back one slide, and you go, no, one more, the cost, okay, 243 square meters. So let's say one person needs 2 square meters to stretch out, one adult. Humor me. One adult needs 2 square meters to stretch out. So you double that figure to about 500 for 2 square meters. And you've got 4 million refugees coming. Let's just assume that they're all adults. 4 million times $500, that is a lot of money. That's $2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, for that money, I can buy a lot of tents. I can give
Or
every
even houses,
I can
probably.
give every refugee
it's a
a
good
tent.
it's a good question. I think that this value is because this is the first prototype, but
No.
it's possible down the costs.
Do you know what your target is in order to make it worthwhile for an NGO to not buy a tent? What is your target price per square meter? Because that's NGOs have got limited amount of money, so they go for the cheapest, most effective solution. So what I don't see in the project yet, which I think you need to get to very fast, is to ring the NGOs and say, what is your average cost per refugee, so you get per square meter, and then look at your solution and say, how do I make it cheaper than that number, whatever that number is? Because at the moment the number is so high, you wonder why to continue with the project.
The one based here is called Shutterbox.
Yeah.
And it's supported by Rotary, but it's based headquarters here in London. You can find out, well, I don't know when you go home again, but it's easy to make a contact and get that answer.
And there are lots of solutions that are out there, and I think I would look at all of them and look at the cost per square meter.
Yeah.
Compare them all, and then come up with your target. So see how you would have to, what you would have to do to beat them.
Yeah.
And I guess to start, so, oh, sorry, no, I interrupted you before. Yeah. Sorry, how much?
$25.
$25.
Per shelter box.
Well, there we go. There we go. So $25 is your competition, right? And if I give like a bit of advice to end up this first session before we go into a short break, you know, being researchers, being product people, usually we just try to figure out how to make things usable and potentially get a couple of, you know, first people to try, and then you will think about everything else later down the line. But one level of thinking, which is really crucial, is actually to think, okay, what happens if I succeed with what I know right now, right? So when I have big systems in play, when I have large numbers, large volumes in the market, and, you know, do I have economies of scale? What happens to my price? Is that my price? And, it, you know, we're seeing the same thing from, what was the story with the insecticide, right? What happens when you start to scale the production and everything else? So part of that process is also a job of an engineer, not to mention the founder as well, right? So think about these things as well, right?
I just have one sense that because there's a technology called, or not a process called the learning curve.
Yeah.
And every product falls on the learning curve. And NASA did a lot of work, and you can see it on the net, and you can just plot it out where you are, and you can follow it. It basically, as price comes down, as bulk goes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a human, it's a human thing.
Yeah.
And you can work it out without actually solving the technical problem. You just know where you're going to go ultimately, and see if it still fits.
Brilliant.
May I make a general comment?
Please do.
If you look at the difference between, at one end, somebody who's doing academic research and an entrepreneur, the academic researcher's interest is in coming up with something that is technically innovative, that can do something that nobody else has done before, because they get their kudos from doing that. But they are paid for by the state and by the taxes of other people who give them the luxury to do that innovative work. Very, very necessary. The entrepreneur is at the other end. He has no money and he wants a lot of it. So what he does is he says, how do I make money? And if you want to take something from an idea to being a successful entrepreneur, you need to make the leap at the beginning in your head. And all of you can do this. Nothing is stopping any of you do this. So go right at the beginning and say, how do I make money from this? And then you ask yourself two simple questions. What will my customer pay? And how much can I make it for? Whatever it is. And then how much investment do I need to make it? And the ideal answer is no investment, and it's easy for you to do it by yourself. And if you can do that, now you need to gear your whole brain to that. If you do that, you will be a very, very successful entrepreneur. And then you will be able to tailor your technical work to meet that goal of yours. But you need to work out the goal first. You don't actually need to know how to do it. You just need to know what the target is. So, don't focus on the technology. You have the idea of a technology, that's great. Then go straight to the end. How do I make money? And then go back to the technology. Not the other way around. And if you do that, you will succeed much, much faster. And you'll become much richer.
Thank you. That was a beautiful quote. 5-minute break, is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I like that, Sass.
María, usted ya está libre, usted me va a aportar menos. No importa que Gary me quede en foto. Está saludando, ya se... No sé, es que yo creo que también está transmitiendo. Saludos, saludos. Su novia se... No, pero es que le sigue después. No lo mismo. Es a los que ganan este libro. ¿Después te sigue Leighton? Sigue... Imagín, ¿tomas fotos?
No, I've lost my piece of paper. Hang on. Well, I'm going to take one of those. Would be good. And this is the wrong one. Hang on. Hang on. Energies. No.
El man de allá me va a volver papilla, ¿no? Oiga, pero ¿por qué está sudando, hermano? ¿Sabes qué le va a decir? No, mentira, ¿sabes qué le va a decir? Tenga 100.000 libras ya. Tome los 100.000 de los 200.000 que lo voy a después. Es del evento 100 ahorita. Le compro a empresa, doy 50.000 ya. Exacto. Ya están oyendo, ya están oyendo. Ya están transmitiendo. ¿Y qué hago con la empresa?
Okay, okay, so you were sort of managing your whole.
Yeah, well, so I had a team in-house and I had typically industrial contracts with only 6 students.
No. Did you take...
I mean, the size, that was maybe one of the bigger ones. I became the director of the, it was a 2,000 man establishment by the time I became director. They were all people.
¿Verdad, me escriben?
Sí, ya estamos escribiendo.
O sea, ya no diga grosería.
Yeah.
Solo pida
But really,
¿qué apellido?
when I was getting
Un whisky es, un whisky. Quiero un whisky en las rocas.
All right. Oh, you are so ready, I can tell. That is phenomenal. Okay, let's get a timekeeper inside, the last person from the jury. Let's go. Okay. We're doing this. Okay, just to get us going. So, okay, for the second part, I think we've now gotten the hold a little bit about where and how the questions are going. I hope you went through your own little mental process, because now we're going to be expecting you to be much more prepared than the first part of the group, because they were just hit with the thing, and you know, now you guys really see the thing, you got into the spiel, so you know, this should be really good. I think if there's one thing potentially that we can also improve upon just a little bit is, you know, if you in the end, if you're looking for a specific, I mean, you have the advices listed on here, you can re-emphasize what is it really that you're looking for to get as an advice as well, and potentially there's going to be people much more inclined to help you, not just for this particular judges, but in general, overall, I think the more vocal you are about the things that you're looking for, the more people understand how they can help you, which means they're going to be more inclined to help you. And I know that me helping you right now means me shutting up. So, Cesar? Cesar.
Yes.
Oh, that was close enough, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So you're going to be talking today, and I think what it says is active packaging for fresh tropical fruit. There we go. It's a packaging again.
Yeah.
It is going to be interesting. So you should have a tough audience right now.
I know.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Today, I would like to talk about active packaging for fresh tropical fruits. My name is Cesar Sierra. I have a master, a PhD degree in chemistry and physics of polymers. And starvation is one of the biggest problems in the world.
when you think about starvation, many people think about Africa, but the biggest picture over there is from Colombia. So we had the same problem. And additionally, 180,000 tons of food daily are going to the trash, and mainly because bad preservation conditions. These bad preservation techniques also affect our market. Approximately 25% of the tropical fruit we send to Europe get lost during transportation, and mainly due to over-ripening and dehydration. So with Ocati, one of the fruit exporters in Colombia, two professors on that company, we developed a package for bananas, which is a regular plastic bag with an additive inside the film. So, and we compare with the regular package that I use right now, which is a Sten, it's a brand from Israel. And we found that our package increased the days until ripening, also decreased the weight percentage loss. And since fruits are living beings, they had different characteristics. So we had to develop a different package for passion fruit, and we had similar results. And one of the things is that before with the Sten package, they lose between 20 and 25%. With our package, they are losing now between 2 and 4%. So before I came to the LEAF program, my spin-off creating process was really slow. And thanks to the LEAF program, now I have business skills that I didn't have before. And I had some contacts here in the UK. And the mentors and the trainers allow me to explore other markets. So, for example, if we take just 1% of banana market in Colombia, and the other percentage that you see there, we are going to sell $2.5 million in packages, but Colombia is a small market. Ecuador and Costa Rica and other neighbor countries are it's bigger in the market. So we are asking for an investment, approximately $500,000 for equipment, raw materials, workers, and product development. Thank you.
That was surprisingly good. All right, so bananas.
Many fruits. First question, that looks like a spanking brand new extruder.
Yeah.
Do you need that?
No, I need, the first package that we did it with a mono layer, just one polymer, no bi-layer. So we use a single screw extruder, a very cheap extruder. But we had problems with the additive, what we put. So we needed probably 2 screw extruders. So I just put that picture just to show an extruder.
So what's the base layer? Is it polyethylene, polypropylene?
Yes, our package is very cheap in comparison with the Israeli package, because we are using just Colombian materials. We produce in Colombia polyethylene and polypropylene, only those polymers.
So you're looking at monolayer of polyethylene?
Yes, with an additive.
And then the special thing is the additive?
Exactly. But also the thin of the film, you know? How thick or thin is the film?
Yeah.
So
is that how you've reduced the cost? Because you've taken it from 50 cents down to
No,
20?
Also because the stem package is nylon mainly. Okay. So that's a very expensive polymer, and polyethylene is very cheap. But also because we are using FDA approved additive, which is used for another applications like food. So it's very cheap.
Do you know how much a US gallon container for dairy milk costs?
No.
It's less than that.
Less than 20 cents?
Yeah. So a UK 2-litre bottle costs about 7 cents.
Huh.
For UK dairy milk in this country, 40 grams weight, made of monolayer polyethylene. So I'm not knocking your figures.
Yes.
I'm just saying that you're charging quite a lot by weight of the package, which is good, because the margins should be very good. So it's a positive.
Yes.
I'm just saying you need to be aware of what these things cost alternative packages. So the reason I use the US gallon is because it's probably the most single biggest container that is the same, or pretty much the same, anywhere in the world.
Okay.
It's a monolayer, and it's monolayer like yours, except it's extrusion blow molded, not film. To the point that was made before, why do you have the need to buy kit? Why don't you just make the additive and then sell the additive to people who already have kit?
Okay, we synthesize one additive ourselves, but we need something that is FDA approved. We are not able to put an additive that we just synthesize and prove that works, actually works better than the additive that we buy. But we had to test it but toxicologically and many things. So that's the problem right now.
Do you have expertise in getting FDA approval?
No, none.
Because in the US, in Springfield, Missouri, where Bart Simpson comes from, that's where the dairy industry has its testing headquarters. And you should also go to the European equivalent, because if you get FDA approval for the additive on its own, you will then be able to sell that additive around the world. You won't need the investment, and you'll become very rich. So, you know, I think your business idea is bananas, because you shouldn't be buying large bits of equipment. You can, but the skills that you need to run a large extruder, I suspect you don't have. Somebody else has already got those skills, but they don't have your expertise in the additive. And you're saying that the additive is different slightly, depending on the product. So you could have a range of additives. You could be selling this all over the world to different people. So the skills that I think that you need to develop are getting the testing through the FDA process. And I think this should be funded dramatically by the Colombian government, because if you're able to do this first in Colombia and you're having 25% less wastage whenever you export something, you know, you should be getting a grant for this immediately.
Yeah, true.
But you need regulatory help. So you're going to need somebody who's a food scientist, and I would recommend you come up with a partner in Europe and a partner in the US as a starting point to get this tested through, because, you know, if it does what you say it does, it's got good applications.
Let me try to understand something you said. So you are trying also, as you are telling me also, that I could go for the additive market, not for the packaging market. Huh? That's okay.
Because, you know, if you go to one of the trade shows in Germany, in Düsseldorf, the K show, you will see hundreds of people trying to sell this equipment, the extruders, and they're very good at it. And then there are hundreds of people who are making film.
Yes.
And it's a very competitive market.
Yeah.
So for you to make film with an additive competitively is harder than for you to make the additive on its own. The other thing is you'll be able to keep the additive manufacturer secret.
Yes, that's true.
Norman, I'll take one last advice,
Well, really, it was the other approval you'll need is with the world reaction to plastics these days, the US and probably Europe want to be sure that packaging satisfies their waste regulation. So you need to get that clearance, and that's the only thing I would imagine, that if you add the additive afterwards in some way, it may destroy that, or you may have to do it with and without the additive.
You sell the additive to the plastics manufacturer who melts it into the film as they make it. It's not coated on afterwards.
No, but then you need to get your patent sorted too, so they don't just copy it.
Well, you patent the formulation and the process.
That could be.
Still wouldn't stop somebody copying.
No, you're absolutely right.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank
you, Cesar.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment, because we had a couple of these situations up to now. We see a lot of, there's a tension, I think, and especially in this group for some reason, to develop like very deeply vertically integrated solutions, right? So you bolt on things to create this very complex value chain, like plastic plus mold, or what did we have before? We had a similar situation, for example, even with ultra LED, with the bulbs and everything else, right? You're trying to develop these products around the original technology, and sometimes just focusing on figuring out whether there's a buyer for that technology and how it makes sense in a broader market can make you come to market quicker and actually much more capital effective, to be honest, which is one thing that I think can help you a lot. Brilliant, thank you very much. Mauricio is next, body contact pressure monitoring system, right? That's correct?
Yeah,
brilliant.
Correct.
The podium is yours. Thank you.
Hello. I am Mauricio Hernandez, a professor in biomedical engineering, and I lead a research group in Colombia. Superman was my childhood hero, and was a shock when Christopher Reeves dies due to a sepsis. Sepsis affects 30 million people worldwide every year, and this is a potential amount of people that produces at least 6 million deaths per year. Sepsis, the main causes of sepsis are bed sores. Bed sores are caused by high pressure over much time. And bed sores increase the length of stay in the hospital for almost 2 weeks and the associated cost. It is such a big problem that Medicare services in USA stopped paying the cost of treatment of bed sores from 2008. And this means that hospitals are liable for lawsuits if the bed sores are avoidable. In the market, we have the air mattresses. The air mattresses change the pressure in bed, but each patient is different. And it means that they need different movements in bed. Air mattresses can do that. My research group includes medical doctors and engineers, and we have very good relations with top hospitals in Colombia. And our focus is in developing sensors that send useful information to the nurses. Our solution is a smart bed linen that sends information, and we have low-cost production. This is the linen, and it works like a linen that the nurse put in the bed. The patient lies in bed and is monitored, and the nurse is informed about issues and correct the position of the patient. 5 years ago, we got a patent. 2 years ago, we developed a flexible device. Our patent was licensed 5 years ago. And we tested the product with 30 nurses 1 month ago. Right now, we have ethical approval to do a clinical trial. During the last week, I discovered how to give value to my research products, how to understand the needs of a customer, and this will challenge the manner I propose new research projects. We expect to get a sanitary approval in the next 8 months, and we will put the product in the market. The revenue model.
Come to the ask.
Okay.
It's going to be too long.
Okay.
If we go through a whole thing. Yeah.
We are looking for a UK partner just to help us to put the product in the market and to optimize the mass production. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Two questions. How does this stack against other countries? I've not seen that before, but maybe are you unique?
No. There is a Korean producer of flexible sensors, a German producer of flexible sensors, and there is a company in the US that is producing something similar, quite similar. But the value of our product is that we are using low-cost textiles. They are using some inks and electronic cards, right? We are using just, we have a patent of this. We are producing this sensor with textiles.
My second question was about the patent, because you patented it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But you're only doing the sanitary approval. What were you going to do if the sanitary approval failed?
Yeah, this is because our patent is for a rigid sensor. And as a rigid surface, it can be used in bed. We have only 2 years ago the flexible device. Okay? We have only 2 years ago. But we think that we can
I'm not sure I'd
link.
like to buy on a rigid one.
we can link the new device to the patent that we have.
So when will you have a robust. So that the product that you tested with the 30 nurses, is that a proper product? So that would, albeit at a high cost.
Just this device.
And how long does it last before it deteriorates?
We tested in lab the device for the infection products like hypochlorite 2,000 times in the textile, and it works.
So have you put it in a washing machine 2,000 times?
No washing machine, no washing machine.
Okay.
Just to clean it like a mattress.
Okay.
You can't put the mattress in the washing machine.
Okay. And do they do that in every country? You put the mattress in a washing machine, or would they put the sheets in the washing machine? Because this is like a sheet, yeah? Or
it's
is
like an smart linen, yeah. But this includes a lot of the materials are conductive materials,
yeah.
And we have also piezo-resistive materials there.
Yeah, but let's say I'm a patient and I bleed all over this. It's going to have to go in the wash, and the mattress may be not in the wash, or
no.
No.
The mattress can go to the
so you
washing machine.
There are protective layers on top of this.
Yeah, we are using. We are using a material, a very good material from an Australian producer that we tested in lab from a column of water, just to detect the impermeabilization of the material. Yeah.
So while you've been in the UK, have you contacted any hospitals or the NHS?
Yeah, we would like to have a partner here to help us in the mass production and just in the market test, because we will start the market test next year.
While you've been here, have you had any meetings with anybody?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Do you intend to?
Yeah, I try to contact just the mattresses producers, because I suppose it's a good product to help the therapy that they offer to the hospitals.
Do you know who the mattress manufacturers are around the world?
Yeah, there are 3 companies here in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good country to start the market.
Yeah. Okay, Rich Gates. Oh, sorry, did you? Yeah.
I think it's the comparison, because the bed sore thing is one thing, but a lot of the beds will double up for fire, for people burned and so on, and it's not a question of reporting the pressure there, it's a question of not having any pressure at all, so there are air beds with flowing air.
No, but the problem is that patients in critical units don't feel anything because they are...
No, I understand, yeah. But there's two ways of reporting it, and then moving the patient is one thing, or having the patient supported just completely uniformly. So you don't, that's the comparator to my mind anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's either error detection or is it actually correction it's through the product itself.
And
right?
I think that's the question for the nurses, and which is more effective or cost effective.
Yeah, which is why I think the advice of, you can go to the customers before you get your partners. Understanding the customer is going to help you to understand what you need from a partner, if you need anything at all, right? So
yeah, this is because we in Colombia start a market test.
Yeah, no, I understand, but the point was being, you're in a new environment, you can also check very quickly, go to the hospitals, talk to nurses, talk to users, and that's always a good advice. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guess what the next guy's name is? Oh, beautiful. Okay, so yes, David with Diretsol, right? Yeah. Is it Diretsol?
Diretsol.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, tech is off the ball.
You guys have really squeezed yourself into this little group here. Looking like a lot of empty spaces, and there's like this group tied in together. Huh? Yeah, yeah. Should we keep the air temperature a bit up? No? No, it's okay. Please, David, go. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry,
so worldwide.
Sorry. I recommend you wait till the judges actually start to listen to you.
Okay. So worldwide, 400 400,000 patients are getting blind because of diabetes, and 140 million adults are on their way to get blind. When I was at Massachusetts General Hospital, I saw many patients that were treated for diabetic retinopathy, and they had a needle inside their eye to be treated. So I thought it would be a great idea to have a novel treatment for them. There are people that are losing their vision because of diabetes. And you know what? It is possible to change their lives, restoring their vision. Hello to everyone. My name is David Layton. I am a research assistant at EIA University. My innovation is called Diretsol, and this is a research project between EIA University and Harvard Medical School. So what's the correct treatment for diabetic retinopathy? Right now are eye injections. That means so invasive, so uncomfortable, and no one wants a needle inside the eye. So, and there are also another risk related with this treatment. There are bleeding inside the eye, retina detachment, and also infection because of possible contamination of the needle. This eye injection includes one medicine per injection. So right now, my innovation, what I'm proposing are eye drops. It's way less invasive, more comfortable, it's easy to apply. Anyone can apply drops. You don't need a specialist. You don't need to go to the hospital. And also in these eye drops, there are two medicines combined. So it's a more efficient treatment than the current eye injections. So what have we done so far? We discovered a medicine at Harvard Medical School for diabetic retinopathy. We did laboratory testing. That means we tested in cells and also in animals. We came up with the idea of the eye drops, and then we produced the prototype of the eye drops in Colombia. What is our market? A single injection in America costs around $1,000. So that gives us a market value of $1.4 billion. Our business model, we want to license the product to pharma and biotech companies. What's our challenge? What's next? We want to perform the clinical trials. So all this work led me here to live, where I know that my business model is license the product. I have more tools doing networking. I understood the importance of IP protection, and I have a better idea on how to sell my innovation to other people. So I mentioned before, what are we looking for? We're looking to license. We're looking for pharmaceutical companies to help us give to the diabetic patients these eye drops to change their lives. So if you want to join us, it will be great. Thank you.
So we're going to have interesting questions.
Who owns the IP?
Right now we are about to get the IP because we had a prototype of the eye drops. So we are in just the next stage is the IP protection.
But it's yours. The question is this your invention?
We need to discuss because it's work between Harvard University and EIA University in Colombia. This is a part of a research project between both universities.
Have you written any papers on this?
Not yet.
Nothing at all. Okay.
Okay, we had the paper about one of the active principles that we tested in cells and also in animals.
Because one of the downsides of writing papers about it is it's very difficult to patent them afterwards. So,
but the eye
that's
drops,
good. Is that what you're saying? Is it good that it hasn't been a paper?
It's good that there have been no papers, and hopefully the paper that was written doesn't cover the invention because if
not
it
at all,
does,
because
then you're in
just
trouble.
it works in cells and animals, but it's not related with this invention at all.
Okay.
But I'd be surprised if it wasn't covered in whatever agreement between the two universities. Because you wouldn't leave that to the end. You don't wait till something's proven to be valuable before you start fighting about it.
Let's rephrase that. What was the agreement about between the Harvard and your school?
Yeah, I was doing I was visiting a squad at Harvard, so I took that project to EIA University. We get a grant for the EIA University. So the EIA University is giving money, and Harvard is facilitating the facilities to
I mean, a rule of thumb is where the work was on whose premise. If you haven't done anything else, on whose premise was the work done, and that'll be the starting point for the ownership.
No, we need to discuss it. Yeah.
So.
Okay. So this is probably the crux of this whole idea. Okay. Does anybody have any experiences with that? Can we give a bit of advice on how to proceed?
Well, in my opinion, what you should do is you should file the patent immediately, and then you can argue about the ownership of it afterwards between the two of you, because the downside of making a big fuss about something before the patent is filed is you suddenly may get a lot of attention from other people, and they may start looking at, okay, so what was your area of research beforehand, and what was his area of research beforehand, and then maybe make the inventive step themselves and file their own patent while you guys are still arguing about it. So I would file the patent as soon as possible and agree with both parties that you will come to a conclusion, and set maybe the default position as 50-50, because then both of you get something out of it, and you cut through potential arguments, and you also get the resources of Harvard to help you commercialize it, because they will have people at Harvard who are very, very skilled at this sort of thing. So my recommendation would be immediately propose a 50-50 split, but only if Harvard put their resources in to help you now afterwards. And then file the patent in a joint company, give 50% to Harvard, you keep 50% with you and the university, and then go from there. And you'll get a lot of help from someone like Harvard.
What do you think, US patents, Japanese patents?
If Colombia is part of the Patent Cooperation Treaty, you should go for the place where you get the cheapest and quickest patent. And then you go afterwards to the other countries that you would want to go.
Internationalize it, yeah.
So you get the umbrella effect. So if you filed in Colombia or the UK, for example, you would have, I think, 18 months before you file a PCT, which is just a duplicate of what you already did, pretty much. And then you get another period of time, I think it's a year, where you can then file in the local countries. So filing in the UK, for example, will cost you between £5,000 and £10,000 if you count the lawyer's fees. The actual filing costs $500-600, but the lawyer's fee to draw it up. And then if you go through the PCT process, in my experience, it costs you maybe another £10,000. And then typically you should budget £2,000 per country, apart from Japan. Japan is a complete nightmare.
Yeah, but it's also the second largest market in pharmaceuticals, right, in the world.
Yeah.
Only if it's an important patent.
Yeah, the problem with the Japanese market is they operate on a different basis to everybody else. In Japan, they say, if two clever people could have thought of this, then it's obvious. Could have thought of it. Yeah. Where everybody else says, nobody thought of this, therefore you have an invention. The Japanese said, well, we could have. Well, we didn't, but it was obvious.
We could have, yeah.
The trick for Japan is to have a senior company lined up as your licensee.
Yes.
If you well, it makes it essential.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why. Oh, well, we never would have thought about that. You know?
No, I'm sure. So I think that's good advice. You know, but get some friends.
That's actually really good business advice in general. Just get friends, man. You know, it's going to be beautiful. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. Okay, next time we have, is it Julian or Julian? Julian, right? Yeah, Julian Uresta, with biosensors for lactate detection, right? Brilliant. Please. We need the pointer, I think, is this one over here, right? That should be it. Can you try and see if it works?
No.
No, turn it the other way around. It's good to touch with the buttons. Yeah, this one?
Oh,
yeah?
Okay.
Good. Sweet.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julian Uresta. A co-founder of Kairos. We develop a screen printing electrode for applied in biosensor for lactate detection. Actually, babies arrive into the world healthy, but some have real health problems. It's not widely visible. According to the National Institute of Health, around 7.9 million children each year are born with DNA problems or disorders. In Colombia, 500,000 babies are born each year. So newborn screening must be done to know who can have a DNA disorder. Analysis cannot be performed in hospitals and clinics because it's too expensive, the equipment. So hospital must send the blood sample to the laboratory and receive the result between 2 to 10 days later. In Colombia, this test is not done because it's expensive and it's not mandatory. Don't use this equipment because it's expensive and hard to use. Our solution is this device using the strip screen printing electrode because it's affordable, it's easy to operate, you can receive the real data in less than 2 minutes, use disposable strips, and you need a very low sample volume. Just a drop of blood to take the test. Our team, composed by experts in biosensor, electrochemists, and for the former director of the Florida Newborn Screening Laboratory. Our challenge before leave, get $30,000 for manufacturing and validation process. And for the validation process, we contacted the Foundation for the Tropic. What I learned in this process, to explore different business models and how to connect to with potential distributor in Europe and US to grow our market. Because newborn screening markets is estimated in 800 million for the next year. Our plan in 2 years is start the production and sell to the hospital and clinics, get the 5% of market in Colombia, 0.1% of the worldwide market, and to achieve this goal, what do you need? I need $5,000 for the clinical study and build connection with distributors in Europe and the US. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Sorry. See you on our list somewhere.
Yeah, I think we're ready for the questions by the judges.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Since you've made the sensor and done it, what exactly is the purpose of the 50,000 for tests? It looked like you've done it already, or are you not done it enough?
We developed an strip, this screen printing electrode, to measure the lactate concentration. And the lactate is related with the DNA disorder in 8 of these disorders.
Okay. But
so, yeah.
So the thing you've got to learn to do is make the strip. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
You don't have to make the whole gadget.
Yeah. Maybe it's not useful.
Okay.
Yeah. We produce kits, and this kit is necessary to use in devices. So we have 2 options. We can produce the devices or just the kit. But for us, in this moment, we think that the best option is build the devices and sell the kits too.
What do you need the 50,000 for exactly? That was Norman's question. I don't understand that. What your $50,000?
Because we need to do the validation process.
Okay.
We haven't at the moment, and we need 3 more months to this validation process, and after buy some machine to produce the strips and start the production.
And the validation process is done in Colombia? Or
in Colombia, yeah, with this Foundation for the Tropic. This is the only clinic accredited in Colombia to do this test.
Could you do the tests anywhere else?
Yeah.
So could you do it in the EU somewhere,
yeah,
UK,
yeah.
or?
Yeah, sure.
Have you talked while you've been here to anybody in the UK who can do the testing for you?
No, I haven't.
Because you may find that if you look at different people, somebody does it for free, and then you don't need the $50,000. You know, if you find the right partner, they may either do the testing because they have the equipment and they want to do you a favor, but they want to participate in it, or they just want to find the answer because they want to use the technique as well. Or you may find somebody who's willing to fund it because they're a partner rather than just getting the cash.
Yeah. We have two ways, but
is the lactate problem special to Colombia?
No, in the world.
Well, that's what I mean. So what do other countries do?
They practice newborn screening.
But are they based on lactate, or do
no, not only lactate. Yeah, lactate is detect only 8 of these disorders, but there are 170 disorders. But just for in many countries, they evaluate between 30 and 60 disorders. This lactate detect just this device detect with lactate 8 disorders.
So
we need to.
If you're in Germany and you're detecting 30 disorders, Are your 8 part of those 30 or are they extra?
It's part of this.
So the market then in the world is smaller than you think, because many countries already cover these 8 disorders, but they just use it, they do it in a different way.
Mm. Yeah, with this machine, this equipment, the HPLC.
So they have no need for your product because they're getting your 8 disorders through money they're spending already anyway.
Sure, yeah.
So
but in this moment, we evaluate the 8 disorders, but we need to continue with our study to try to get the other disorders to know is it possible or not.
Okay, and how long will that take?
A year.
Yeah. Okay.
So is the target market for you more the developing world, or let's say countries that don't spend so much money per born child, or do you think it would be of value as well in the UK and US?
The question is there a market where just testing for 8 would be something that they're not doing yet?
Yeah,
right?
we want to start in Colombia because we have no law approved at the moment for this newborn screening. So evaluate 8 disorder is better than
nothing, right?
None.
Yeah,
so,
so that's
for the others, we need to try
to
to develop to improve our device or our strip.
From a pitching point of view, what you've just described is you've destroyed your market size. So if you go back to the slides where you said 0.1% of the market gives us this much of the global market is smaller than you thought, because actually you can't, they're already doing something different. So it sounds like there are 3 or 4 countries other than Colombia which could do with the 8 tests.
Maybe,
you don't have them as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that need us time to improve our device.
So what is roughly what is the cost difference? Or if you do that with your test, what will it cost versus what does it cost when they do it in Germany? So are we talking 1 to 100, or is it sort of 1 to 2? What is the price difference or cost difference?
Our device is estimated to cost $400. With this equipment cost $500,000.
And what about the
and our device is portable. Yeah. Nurses or physician can use it in the field, in the hospital.
Okay, I have to cut it off, but if you're going to continue this conversation, we can continue it later. Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Lina, one question. Are we getting another one to joining us after Ernesto, or? Huh? You're the 15th. Okay, great. So now we know. Okay, brilliant. In which case, let's go for the one that was penultimate but is now not anymore. Hello, Marianne. Please, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Marian Serna. I'm an industrial automatic engineering student from Colombia. In my home country, I lived most of my life in the armed conflict. It was between 1960 to 2016. There were a total of 6 million victims. 7% of them suffered an upper limb amputation. A third part of your sensory perception is dedicated only for just one hand. Now imagine losing one hand or even both. There are more than 1 million limb amputations per year globally. This is 1 every 30 seconds. How much does a hand cost? Between $1,000 and $12,000. Many people can't afford that. Since the minimum wage in Colombia is $245. This is what my team and me want to change. So we are two industrial automatic engineers, one electronic engineer and one mechanical engineer, partnered up to develop a prosthetic hand with a special finger mechanism design that lets the prosthesis grabs the objects in a functional way. So this mechanism allows the movement of each finger with a single motor. We have a total of 5 motors in the prosthetic hand, and the signals the signals to activate the motors came from the arms of an amputee. Our prosthesis is very similar to a real prosthesis. It's so similar to a real hand, and with the same functionality as a high-end prosthesis. These prostheses can be manufactured in a 3D printer, and it will cost less than $500. There are many hand prosthesis companies that offer a high performance prosthesis, but these are so expensive. So the idea with our prosthesis is offer a easy electronic system thanks to the special mechanism design. We started this project 2 years ago. We developing the fingers mechanisms, and five weeks ago we print our first prototype. And until this moment, we were so focused in the technology. But 2 weeks ago, when I arrived to London, thanks to this program, I have learned about skills, models, and strategies to get in the complex entrepreneurship world.
Let's go to the ask.
Our news.
And the last slide. Yeah.
Our news step are validate the processes with amputees and make smaller the electronic system. And we want to get a patent to this special mechanism. We want also talk with NGOs that works with amputees, and if you would contribute us with this, we'll be so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a heartfelt topic. Should we start with the questions?
Yeah, so what is it in your design that makes it so much cheaper than in the other ones?
The innovation of this prosthesis is the mechanism. It's a special mechanism that let the prosthesis grab the objects easily. So we have each finger is only the movement of each finger need only 1 motor. So in total we have only 5 motors, and this is possible thanks to this special finger mechanical design. So this is the innovation. For that reason, these processes can be so cheaper.
So you've got a different angle of mechanical beam, if you like. So what is patentable about that?
The mechanical design.
Okay, so if I take your mechanical design and I make it a little bit shorter and a little bit of different angle, am I breaching the patent?
We can get the patent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of them? What do you want to do? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell these hands?
We want to sell the prosthesis,
yeah.
or eventually the patent.
Okay, and you can 3D print these prostheses.
Again, please.
You can 3D print the hand.
Yeah, we have a 3D printer in our university.
So you could also sell the entire design for a hand online, and sell the files and let people print them for themselves? So
Yeah, we can do that.
How much would you charge for that?
How much?
What would be the price
What would
if you
be
were
the
doing?
price?
Of our processes or of the pattern?
No, of the design.
Just the design.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's okay, it's fair.
I'm not the mechanical engineer, so I'm part of the team, but this job is thanks to the mechanical engineer. So
Have you looked at the work of Southampton University? Because they have been doing work on prosthetic hands since 1984, so a long time. It might be worth looking at what they have done, because it may overlap with what you have at the moment.
So I know the companies are so in a high level of the technology. So to us is so difficult getting the competition. Okay. So maybe we can contribute to Colombia with cheaper processes, yeah. But our competition isn't the companies around the world.
Okay, we have advice, yeah.
I'm starting because you have a competitor from Peru. Because this morning
yeah.
we had someone bidding more or less exactly the same.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had a couple of business models which were good, which you don't have. But I'm not sure what the rules of our competition are, whether we share those or not, or whether you go and see him and share them. But I think you've got a partnership, you know, you've got...
I think it's it's probably a necessary conversation one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right?
I will have that conversation.
I mean, essentially, but, well, I think it's okay, because I think the model we worked out on the spot was that the extra, the effectiveness of a person who gets the hand goes up, and therefore they can work more. And so the model was to get loans for the customer so that they could pay you for the hand.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And that resonated, and that would work at that price, and you're in the same price point as he was. So I suspect there's a South American business model there somewhere.
Yeah. So I think
but you have to fight over who does what.
I think the advice is talk to the other guy.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
advice. Maybe you have better design, he has a business model, better business model, right? So maybe you can bring it together.
I just don't remember his name. And
No, it's all right. I'm sure they do. You know,
and he has the advantage because he is an amputee. And
oh, you met him already.
That's the first time I've heard these two things in the same sentence. Okay, fair enough. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay. So we're reaching towards the end. We have Ernesto, the penultimate presenter. You're still keeping spirits up, energy up?
I hope so,
Please do, yeah. Dude, now it's your time, you know. No matter what came before, this is...
I will surprise you.
Huh? You will surprise us? Yes. Oh, come on, I'm sure you will.
Okay,
so, Ernesto Perez with early warning system for electric grid maintenance. Ernesto, please.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I hope no journalists sleeping well. So let me take you back 5 months ago when we were in the World Cup. We were watching a match. It was really famous for us, Colombia and England. And we went to the end of this match, and then a lightning struck our electric grid, and boom, it was a blackout. Unfortunately, too many people couldn't see this end of this game. This is something that could happen really often in Colombia, because Colombia is one of the countries with the largest lightning activity in the world. We have more than 8 million flashes per year. So this is causing a lot of power outage in Colombia. I've been researching this for 20 years approximately, and we find out that more than 70% of the power outages are due to lightning, and we can have more than 20 times interruptions than other countries, developed countries, like those in Europe. This is causing more than 245 million losses in loss of profit for the electric companies and even for the industry, mainly oil companies. One of the devices that we use to protect this, we have lots of them. And one of the problems that we have is that some of them are replaced just when they are damaged. So they are not replaced on time. So there are some times that there are some power outages because it's not protecting anymore. So what we developed is a small system using a really tiny device, a very cheap, that we can monitor the protected device and remotely send alarms and early warning system to the maintenance equipment so they can replace it on time. This is our value proposition. The benefits of this is that we can reduce the power outages, improve the industry production, and reduce the repairing and maintaining costs. It will be really, really good for them. So in Colombia, there are more than 500,000 of these protected devices that we can monitor. So we are planning to make a business model as a monitoring service, so we can charge a monthly fee per device. And then start in Colombia, we just have several contacts with all companies that they own this infrastructure and power utilities. And go through the prototype. We have also a partner that is Keraunos, and this company has all the lining data that we have. We have learned here to improve our business. The most important thing, the next step that we have to take to go and make a real business and spin out. So we are asking for $200,000 so we can build a team, so focus the sales, improve our prototypes, and have the working capital that can go for 2 years to go this business on. So help me keeping the lights on. Thank you.
Nice, thank you very much. Brilliant. Anyway, speaking of which, do you know what's the source or what's the reason for the most famous power outage in the UK? And it also connected with the football, by the way.
Oh, actually I don't.
Right, it's a tea kettle.
It's a what?
It's a tea kettle. You know, the kettle to which you boil water to get the tea? Okay. Yeah. What was the last one? It was the famous one, 1984 or something like that, right? It was
Snooker World Championship.
Yeah? Was it snooker?
Snooker. Steve Davis versus Alex.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Right. So in the middle of a break, basically half the country went and did tea in an electrical tea
Just
kettle.
to be honest, it was just
And
a story
that
about the power outage. It wasn't a blackout. The whole Colombia will be dramatic. Yeah, happen, but
there we
just
go.
to keep your attention.
Just to go back a slide, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Just for definition purposes, working capital is generally the difference between what your suppliers need to be paid and what your customers are paying you. It's the difference to make the business carry on going. What I think you're looking for is investment capital or equity capital, which is going to be spent. So it's not the right term. Okay. You're basically looking to cover the losses whilst you get to a product.
Yes, sure.
Whereas working capital is when you've got a business that's running, it's what you need in order to keep the thing afloat.
Okay, thank you. We'll take it.
Usually means loans, right?
Yeah. So what's how much is this going to cost relative to the cost of just replacing these things?
Oh, the cost of replacing is not the problem because it's not very expensive. This protected device is the time to replace it.
Okay.
So a power outage, for example, in an oil company, if you just have a power outage for 1 minute, they can lose 1,000 of barrels.
Okay.
So it is the price of the.
That's the cost,
time.
right, as well.
So
yeah.
Okay.
And so, for example, in an oil company, it's $45 million per year that they lost for power outages, and 70% are due to lightning.
How does that? Well, do you need to service the device itself?
Yes. So the device is monitoring this protected device, and is monitoring if it is working, and they are measuring the current.
But do you need to service the device itself?
Sorry?
Do you
need a monitor for the monitor?
Yeah, so how long, if you put the device there, will it last for 10 years and you don't have to touch it, service the device itself?
We hope that we have to put a battery, so it will last like 2 years, 2 to 5 years. So every 2 to 5 years, we have to replace it. So we're trying to make a model as a service, so we can charge less than $1 per device monitorized. Then we can replace it every 2 or 5 years, depends how the tests go with the battery.
And what's the life of the device you're trying to monitor?
Yeah, it depends on how many linings are. So it depends on the flashes. That's why we have to monitor.
But if there are 500,000 on the ground in Colombia, how many are replaced a year?
I don't have exactly the amount, but it's a lot of them. So they are.
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate on why, you know, where are we going with this?
Well, what I'm trying.
To understand.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to understand is that, you know, will the actual operating costs go up or down of maintenance? Do you have to go do more call outs now when you have to change the batteries? So what is the average lifetime of the lightning protector itself? Okay. So,
so understanding
and the field service costs will go up or down as a result.
Yeah, but okay, I understand that, but it depends on the lightning activity. So there are places that can have 8,000 flashes per one thunderstorm, and it could damage several protective devices in one thunderstorm. So you put it, and then it will depend on how it works.
So if you get a lightning flash onto the cable, does it take out the trips on the cable? So does it short circuit the cable?
Yes, kind of.
So
part of the energy just go through air, through the device, and I can have several operations. But it depends on the current of the flash or the lightning.
So you presumably have varistors in circuits that protect the
transformers. This is a varistors, yes.
Yeah, but you see, you kept showing insulators. That's why I'm not sure what you're measuring.
No, there's not insulators.
Well, the things that you had.
Yeah, that's an insulator, isn't it?
Yeah, the inside there are the varistors. So outside the casing is like an insulator, but inside are the varistors. Okay. I didn't want to go so technical, but it's.
That's not the insulator protecting the live from the earth and all that. That's an extra device which is on the.
Yeah, this is the protected device. It's a varistor. They just derive the contour.
It looks like the insulator because you're
yes.
voltage up. That's what's confusing me.
Yeah. So my question really is twofold. One is from a market size point of view.
Yes.
Can you measure the number of times the cable is hit by lightning by another method?
We can indirectly with this company, Keraunos. They have the lightning data of all the lightnings that are striking the earth. But indirectly, because the error could be around 200 meters. So you don't know exactly if they hit it or not. Okay. So what we're trying to do is be certain that it was hit on the social rest has operated or not.
Okay, so how much would you... It strikes me that you've got two different options. You either go to the oil company who's losing 45 million a year,
yes,
and you say to them, write me a check now for 200,000 because I can save you at least some of this, yes, and I'll do the work and I'll dedicate it all to you. So it's not it's a suggestion, is that is a potential investor and partner who gets immediate benefit if your work has got success. Yes. And if 200,000 is all you need, if they're spending 45 million a year, they will give you the check. It'll just go out of their capital budget immediately. Sure. However, if they can measure it another way, like through the lightning strike, just counting the strikes, and every time a strike is 100th strike, they then go and automatically do preventative maintenance, then maybe they don't need your service.
Yeah, but it's not so accurate to do it with this indirect. But we are trying to go first with the oil companies.
Okay, but I would look at both avenues to try and persuade yourself which one is better for your customers, and then go to the customer.
Okay. The other company is ABB that makes the varistor.
They have.
I mean, it's in Switzerland. So have you talked to them directly?
They have also a monitor device, but it doesn't go remotely. No, I haven't talked.
Yeah, because that's important. You're actually making a business for another company as well, right? To some
degree,
well,
they will be interested. If you have the world's highest strikes, these are the devices they sell to everybody.
Yes.
To protect the lines. That's what,
Okay.
Saves the trips.
Brilliant. Ernesto, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Last, not the least, I don't think the judges have it on the paper, so just write down Alejandro and we'll work everything else out, right? Okay, Mike the X over there.
The man himself.
Man himself. Yeah. So Alejandro is going to be talking to us about energy acceleration programs, right? Is that fair enough?
Please. Hello, my is Alejandro Incapié. I'm from Medellin. I work in the innovation center of the local government of the city. I am really passionate about technology, about teaching, about helping enterprises, helping researchers, helping new enterprises to move forward into their businesses and to generate, of course, more employment to the wealth of our city. As I told you, I am really engaged with the purposes of Ruta N that is really move forward and help all the new technology-based businesses to move forward to the wealth of the city. And we work in three main areas, that is energy, health, and ICT. They are defined like in a science and technology plan of the city that is already running, and I lead the area of energy. This is why we have the problem or the need to keep pushing all the researchers or the entrepreneurs or SME companies to really become into a real business and to generate more employment wealth to the city. We are having several troubles in the city because many enterprises or entrepreneurs are having problems to really become into a company in these main areas. And also from the part of the city, we're having resources that we are now discovering well how to put into the enterprises to really push it. And also, one part of the board of Ruta N is EPM, that is the biggest utility company of our region. And we work in the city with several bigger energy companies. That is the company that made the transportation of the energy, and others that control the sales and the transactions of the energy. So they are like the stakeholders. They are looking for new enterprises to help and to move forward. We already are helping them in many ways, but focusing in four pillars. That is talent. That is when we try to help them to acquire new capabilities. This is why we are the local partner of the LEAF program from Colombia. We help in acquiring new capabilities in business, in commercialization, in technology transfer, and so on. This is some communities we have. With capital also, we provide funding, we provide grants today to move forward in acceleration in other parts. Some money we have invested in the city or manage, and how to keep helping them about the capital access. Business, how to connect them within the city, how to access to new markets, how to interact with all the part of the innovation system, networking, and so on. Infrastructure, we offer spaces to them to be with us in the building. But now the problem, what we are looking now, is how to push all these parts together in the energy sector. How to really create like an accelerator to provide the specific guidance, the specific content, and the specific kind of knowledge they have to know to move forward into their business. So this is why we are asking for help for LEAF program and for Source, for example, and for you to give us connection and guidance to how to accelerate better our energy-related technology business in Medellin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This one's slightly different, right? So I think we can make it probably a bit more of an open discussion about how we can potentially help, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
It sounds less of a pitch than anything else. What do you think, judges?
I've talked to it before.
That was a good dodge.
I don't know whether the companies we've seen today are a guide, but there is, not for every company, but for generally, there is a theme where I think if you learnt this and told the people locally about this, it would help speed up things. And that is, a lot of the work that is done technically is done too early. They need to actually look at the financial side right at the beginning. So whether it's, I mean, before you even start, you might have a germ of an idea and then you park it. And then you look at, okay, what are the customers currently paying? What is currently the penalty for something that doesn't work? And evaluate that and gather quite a lot of information. Now, this information can be gathered for free on the internet. It can be gathered for free by going to the supermarket and looking at the cost of the goods. And once you have done that, you then work out what you think you need to make a profit on it in order to pay for whatever equipment that you might need to produce it. So it's a circular process. You do that, and then you go back to the technology, then you go back, look at the numbers again, the money, then you go back to the technology. But the universal story impression I've got is there's too much focus only on technology and not enough on money. So people are going a long way down a path without actually thinking about the customer and the money and can they make a profit. Because if they can't make a profit, they won't get funding. Or even if they do get funding, it'll eventually dry up. So teaching people to look at that first. And it's as simple as, what is your break-even point? So sales price minus variable cost divided by overheads. What is the break-even point? How many do I need to sell? And if you can do that, I mean, I'll give you an example. I was talking to one lady on an incubator, and she was a mother, an engineer, whose son was dumb, could not speak. And so she developed a glove that the son could put on, and the glove could detect Makaton. So as the son sign languaged, there was a box on the side of the glove that spoke for him. So instantly, somebody that's dumb has become speech. But what was even better about this was you turned a switch, and it went from English to French, from French to Spanish. So all of a sudden, her son was multilingual. Now, the downside is when you went through the money side of this, you asked her, well, in order for her to make $100,000, how many of these would she have to sell? And we calculated she'd have to sell 3,000. The problem was her business plan was for 2,000, the maximum. So she was never going to make any money out of the process. After that, she went away. She fired her business manager, partner, because she said, he should have told me this, and that's true. She completely redesigned the product. So she went back to the technology, but with the goal was, I have to earn $100,000 from this. How do I earn 100? And it's a good little thing. It's how do I earn $100,000? And if there are 5 of you, how do we earn $500,000? Calculate that. Use that as a tool. She went back. She redesigned the hand, and she went from having a break-even point of 3,000 to having to sell 120 to break even. And she also worked out from the pricing that she could increase the price and double it, and people would still buy it. So very simple, very niche market, but it's the same principles apply in many of the things that we've seen today. So if you can teach people that, is to say, give them the story. Just say, okay, to earn $100,000 for yourself, how many do you have to sell? That simple question, and tell them not to develop anything until they've answered that, and then do some development, and then come back and go in a circle all the time with the $100,000. You will cut at least a year out of everybody's program. Because it'll really focus their mind.
To change the starting point of the
just ask them all $100,000, and it'll change the timescales dramatically, because they don't waste their time down avenues that aren't going to do it.
That's perfect. And I think we come to like finalizing points as well, Norman. Yeah.
I think my version of that's the other side of it, which is if Colombia or Medellin has a problem, the first place to start is the patent literature. What people have done before. Particularly since in a country, I don't think I've ever taken a patent out in Colombia. Never came into my head that any of our patents should ever go to Colombia. So you're free.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
You know, you can if you need it in Colombia, you can use it if anybody's done it. Okay.
You're right.
But I think that's. I mean, we've had some conversations, Alessandro, and I think you've taught people how to do research. Is what I think you've done so far. These projects have been brilliant.
Yeah, this is why right now we are here.
Yeah, these projects, as research projects, they're brilliant.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's to change the point of view.
But that's where you, as the overarching organization, have to decide, do you want to make money for Colombia out of this by world sales, in which case you've got to do this. Okay. Which is what I think you want. I think you want to do both.
Of course, but
at
the beginning, to the business side, you have to start in this.
And that's where you need a strategy to say what Colombia needs, okay, and then what Colombia wants to sell. So are you building an economy? Are you solving problems? You know, etc. That's the clarity that you probably need.
At the level of the country.
Using the resources that you've now created that can do technical work at a very high order.
You're right.
Thank you very much.
What do you think?
Yeah, for me, well, maybe, I mean, to your point, so I agree that, you know, for things that if you have sort of really pressing issues in Colombia, it's good to start from there, right? But at the same time, I saw that in some of the presentations here, maybe there would have been a potential to look at the problem more from a global perspective as well. So, take the example of ink, conductive ink. There potentially, if you take it more the global view, then potentially you could have, a market which is, 100 million. You might have to have a slightly different angle, and I see. I even see this sometimes in Europe. We have this issue even in big countries like Germany or UK, where we start businesses, but we don't have the same level ambition that, for instance, Americans tend to have.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we shouldn't be, afraid either of pushing it and going aggressive if we believe really that we have something good there. And I think that sometimes I've noticed with myself as well, it's taken time for me. I mean, now I have a CEO that is California based, and for him, if it's not $1 billion, then it's nothing. That's the Californian perspective. Yeah, sure. And we shouldn't be afraid of thinking big as well and going high, but we need to validate in the process and ensure, as he says, that that we have gone through the basic commercial proposition, and that there's an equation that makes sense.
Thank you. Well, coming down to our final thoughts, and before I let Lino invite you to whatever he has, his plans and his ways with you afterwards. No, sorry?
We have to make a decision.
Yeah, but you're going to do that separately in the time afterwards. Yeah. But just to sort of, to wrap up also with my thoughts a little bit, because I think what we've gotten here today, and I think you were actually specifically fortunate about this, that we've gotten like 3 judges that were very, what you might call it, like very business heavy, very direct, very straight, hands-on sort of type of advice that wasn't, maybe what you get a lot from the Silicon Valley type of a startup life cycle and the usual things that you're hearing, but something that has some much more fundamental truth, that entrepreneurship is in effect connected with the ability to create value, and the proof of creating value many times over is whether you're actually able to make the money. And one way to think, especially if you're a researcher, because researchers, when they look about the money, it's basically just, that's a means for me to do my research, right? And the moment that I switch that logic and I say, well, money is the end game, no, that's kind of boring, right? And it's not just boring, it sort of goes against everything I've believed in up to this point in time. And it's hard for us to sort of degree to hear about these things, right? So instead of that, maybe look at the money slightly differently, right? You know that you need money one way or the other. Your only choice is to decide where does that money will come from. And that decision is inherently related with who are you going to listen to. So if the money comes from the grants, that means you're going to have to listen to governments and universities and stuff like that. If the money comes from the market, that means you're going to have to listen to your suppliers and your customers, right? And usually market gives you a lot more freedom to choose how you want to make your way than any other source of creating money, which will give you the freedom to create whatever you want, right? So if you exit this room by understanding that actually, thinking about money is kind of good, or actually it's liberating, and especially in this technology in the startup space, then I think you have learned something, and it's going to make you think a lot more hands-on about what you're going to do in the next way. I would like to thank the judges. I think you guys have been phenomenal today. What do you think? Yeah. Yes. Seriously, thanks for the advice. And whoa, wait. And first of all, but congratulate to all of you for all this hard work that you put into this. This was really good. So thanks a lot. And thank you, Lino, for making this happen.
Okay. These guys would deliberate a little bit and pick the first, second, and third place. And they'll do that in the next room. And in the meantime, we'll have a few minutes to grab a coffee, get some water. But more importantly, Nick is over there. He has big feedback forms for you. please do them carefully because we really need that input in order to improve the program for the next guys that are going to do it. And we really kind of consider that feedback and act on it, as you've seen even real time throughout the program. Additionally, out there are your brain trust forms. We decided not to make this a formal happening at the moment, but at the very minimum, get them, find your brain trust buddies, and commit to a time next week or the week after. Just put it in the calendars now when you're going to do that online, unless you do it even tonight somehow. This is actually super important because what's going to happen to you right after you land back in Colombia is that you've been kind of away for 2-3 weeks. There's been a massive pile of work and problems and commitments and family things and friends and so on that have piled up. They're going to hit you in the face. You're going to get disconnected from this experience, and it's going to require a little bit of energy for you to get back the momentum and keep acting on the things you kind of learned today, experienced, and so on. So if you kind of develop these groups where you keep yourselves accountable to each other and kind of support each other emotionally and technically, and do this on regular intervals of time, I promise you from a personal experience that's really helpful. So for some of you it won't make sense. For many others it would. We have people from last year that are still doing it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis consistently, and they've had the tremendous value to it. So I encourage you to try it for at least a few weeks and see if there's a benefit. Okay? And finally, we'll give these guys a few minutes. In about 5:15, we'll have Norman and Andrew present the 12 winners that kind of got recognized from the group. And suspense, let's leave these guys the room so they can prepare. Oh, and also Hannah will take you to be photographed because the photographer needs to leave very soon. And you kind of need those photos. Okay? Cheers. Do the feedback form first and then everything else. Do you want another room or you're safe? No. Is this still broadcast? Can we cut the camera, please?